Oh, here we go. Here's a good one, and then that one, Keith, and then uh, WWE, the video game 2K23. Their soundtrack has Metallica, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Bullet for My Valentine on there. So some
Okay, there. Mm-hmm.
older songs for the new soundtrack, which is interesting. That's pretty
No.
much. I mean, there's one on Jeff Young says Dave Mustaine can't play the early Megadeth anymore.
Oh, really? There.
It's
Okay.
all on, yeah, it's all on Blabbermouth. So just go on
Oh,
Blabbermouth.
yeah. And by the way,
I got.
now
Go
before
ahead.
I say this, Wire, did you get the video I sent you earlier today of Motley Crue with John Five?
Yeah, I've been watching all of those. Yeah.
Nice, yeah, pretty good there. Credit to John Five for doing a good job with the crew there. And also
What are we
credit to
going in the
Vince Neil.
70s list tonight, Ark?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with part two
Right.
there. We're doing part two there. We did a part one a couple weeks ago. You may remember there.
Okay, and so Wire, you said WWE 2K23. What?
Soundtrack. Soundtrack has a
soundtrack.
Metallica
Okay.
song and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
Yo, like Dr. Earl, like I stay on topic, right? Like I haven't gone off topic in a very long time, right?
I know you have, yes. That's true there, which is
Okay.
good because a lot of times in the past you would bring up something that's unrelated to what we're talking about. And where you at right
Yeah.
now?
I'm at the park.
Ah, okay.
Just I'm
there.
enjoying the beautiful
Yeah,
weather.
just
outside.
mute, Keith. Every time when you're not talking, mute. But when you go in to talk, unmute and talk. But when
Yes,
you're not
please
talking,
do,
mute.
because a lot of times we have a hard time hearing you because of the airplanes, the traffic, the trucks, and all
Okay.
that there.
All right. Cool. So
Okay.
like Dave doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to me on the music shows.
I don't know. Well, if we could get Dave on the call here, then maybe you could address that with him.
Yeah.
But he's live right
well,
now
I mean,
there,
he's,
so
he's busy right now.
yeah. Yeah, he's calling in live where we, of course, I called in with him and Ken was on the line there, so
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I only listened to like 2 seconds of today's show, and then like I missed a lot of yesterday's show, so
Mm,
I was listening back to the parts I missed from yesterday.
I see there. Right there.
You want me to start the music news now?
Yeah, go right ahead, man.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Let me take myself off camera.
And also, we also got to dig into the currency of Journey there and what he had to say recently there.
Okay.
I sent Wire that to notice about a few days back there. It's like, oh, you want some drama? We got it right here at the Journey camp.
Megadeth, Dave Mustaine on Metallica. Why won't these guys play with us? Or what are they afraid of? In a new interview with Guitar World magazine, Dave Mustaine was asked how he views the perceived compilation between Megadeth and his former band Metallica. The Megadeth leader responded, "In my mind, there's no competition between Megadeth and Metallica. We're different bands, and I believe Megadeth has been more consistent. But the sad thing is that the drama between us has been more popular than the music ever was. And I remember Metallica got a big head start, and they did so on the back of what I helped create. They became one of the biggest bands in the world, and here's one of the biggest bands wasting their breath trying to discredit me by saying Dave's not a good guitar player. Excuse me, what the fuck you say? Haha. I think
shit.
I wrote many of the songs that made you famous, so you probably should recheck that bullshit statement. But this is the shit these guys say, and you've got the sheep who follow them around believing it. As to it thinks is at fault for perpetuating the issues, Mustaine said, the issue is that people don't know their history and take sides. I never wanted to take sides. I wanted things to be reconciled and to be friends, but for whatever reason they didn't. And Megadeth is represented by the same agent as Megadeth, and I've asked our agent, you're Metallica's agent too. What? Why won't these guys play with us? What are they afraid of?
Are you walking around in gravel?
Yes, I am.
I can hear it.
We all can hear it, man.
Oh,
That's
yeah. Cool. What are they afraid of? And they're confirmed they're going out this summer with Five Finger Death Punch and Pantera thing, so it's clearly about the money. Whoa. I feel like I'm like drunk right now.
Well,
Nah, it's because like
don't
I'm
trip.
reading. Yeah, I'm reading and I'm walking all off the path right now. Or I was. The fact is simple. The world wants to see Megadeth and Metallica play together. And in case anyone is wondering, there's fucking money in that. The fans want to see Metallica and Megadeth share the stage. Does Megadeth need Metallica? No. But Metallica talks about their fans, but they don't give them what they've been asking for. What are they afraid of? I don't know. It's not me, it's them. Metallica also talked about his influence over Mustaine also talked about his influence over Metallica, saying, in the early days, I was... Whoa.
it was what?
I was the only guitar player.
No more, Keith. No, please don't add SC to the call. We don't. They can do drama shows with RP and all that and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to these guys on this call, and everyone else is blocked on Skype. So.
Yeah.
All right. I got you loud and
four.
clear.
I
Yep.
appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. In the early days, I was the only guitar player in the band and wrote some of the songs that ended up on their earlier records. So for a guy who couldn't play guitar, I sure did fucking influence things. The only reason James Halford, Metallica frontman, even played guitar early on was that.
Is that what?
No, I can't.
You can't
no.
what? What?
I can't. SC, I can't invite you.
Oh my gosh. Just ignore him. Just go ahead and read the article, man.
Okay. Even played guitar early on. We couldn't find anyone else. So who was it that couldn't play guitar? We had one guy named Brad Parker, whose real name was Damian Phillips. Fucking what the fuck? Texting me
called?
like, yeah.
Oh gosh, block his ass.
Alright, hold it. Alright, I'll block when I'm done with the articles.
Okay, there.
And that was why we ended up having James play guitar. There was no other reason. Also, early on, James was terrified to talk to the crowd, and I would look at him and say, "Talk, man. Get up there and fucking talk." But James didn't do it. He stayed in the background. And he's fucking singer. Whoa, am I on the path? Yeah. Okay, fine. So, SC just said, "Don't block me."
Ignore him.
Okay. That's how it was until I left. James only started talking to the audience after I left. He had no choice. You can hear it on the tapes from the shows we did in San Francisco at the Wharf and Stone. I did all the talking, and most of what I said did all the talking, and most of what I said on stage was things James would then copy after I left. So how do I view my influence on Metallica? It's pretty fucking deep. The so-called Big Four of 1980s thrash metal, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, played together for the first time in history on June 16, 2000. 2000 in front of 81,000 fans at the Sonosphere Festival. Bemowo Airport in Warsaw, Poland, and shared a bill again for 6 more shows as part of the Sonosphere series that same year. They reunited again for several dates in 2011, including the last Big Four concert, which was held on September 14, 2011 at Yankee Stadium in New York City. Man, Blabbermouth, your articles are way too long. Anyway, since then, Metallica, Slayer, and Anthrax have performed at 2014 Heavy Metal Festival in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Mustaine touched upon the possibility of further Big Four shows in a November 2022 interview with Greg Pato of Song Facts. He said, I really think it's time for the guys in Metallica to step up and do one last round, see if we can get Slayer to come out of retirement and do a Big Four passing of the torch to see the new Big Four. It will remain to be seen who they are. I think it really would be cool symbolically if we did something like the LA Coliseum, even if it's one show and that's it. He continued. Slayer is from Los Angeles, so it would be probably make it more convenient for them to go home at night. I personally have been asking for this for a while, and I keep asking and asking and asking. They're just not into it, but that's up to them. Back in 2018, Mustaine spoke about Big Four in an interview with Chunk Nation LA Invasion live from the Rainbow Bar and Grill on Sirius XM. Asked, where was I? Asked if there was a personal highlight for him from all the Big Four shows that Megadeth has played so far. Mustaine said no, the whole thing was great. I can't whittle it down to one thing. I do know that looking out in the audience and seeing everybody in black t-shirts before we started, and then the rain started and all these rainbow colored umbrellas opened up. Gay. No, just kidding. It was the most beautiful thing because it went from the Monarch kind of really ugly place in Sofia, Bulgaria in the rain to just the plethora of color and just beauty. And everybody was dancing and pogoing and wheelchairs going across people's heads and stuff. Damn, I gotta take a big shit right now.
Oh my gosh. Just tell the whole world.
Don't bring us along.
Okay, I'll mute. When I do
then.
that. They didn't let the rain bother them at all. Me, I felt like I was ice skating. It was really slippery. Early in 2008, Mustaine said that he would love to play a Big Four show where all the bands got treated fairly instead of Metallica performing a longer set and getting more stage space than the other groups on the bill. It always kind of soured to me when you watch when they're praying and he says that the big what as he's like sending me like fucking 500 messages a minute.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Talk about desperation.
Yeah.
He's thirsty.
That just kind of yeah. That
you
just
thirsty.
kind of thirsty, baby, bring it over here. Bring it over. Okay. That's on Party Next Door. He's an R&B artist. Anyway, they're praying and says that we're the big one. Mustaine told Sirius XM. That just kind of shows you how the mentally was there, that it really wasn't the Big Four. It was Metallica. And then The three of us. Oh my God! Do you want me to keep reading?
Uh,
th-
no, I think we pretty much got the idea there.
Okay.
oh yeah.
Yo, can I read the other story after I take this big huge shit I gotta take?
Which other story is that, man?
WWE 2K23 soundtrack.
All right, there.
John Cena to executive produce WWE. Anyway, I'm still walking to the bathroom. John Cena to executive produce WWE 2K23 soundtrack track listing reveal. How about I just say the track list?
That'll work.
All right.
Okay. Metallica, Sad But True. Bizzurp and Quavito. Bizzurp music. Doja Cat. Oh, I like Doja Cat. She's like a R&B singer / kind of rapper.
Yeah.
Vegas. Luciano SUVs. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Can't Stop. I know that one. Joyner Lucas and Lil Baby. Raymond and OJ. Hardy, I don't really like him that much. He's like this like country rapper.
Oh gosh.
Jack, Bullet for My Valentine, No More Tears to Cry. DOV featuring Ozzy Osbourne, Travis Scott, Take What You Want.
And
Hello.
hello. Hello.
Apparently he muted early. I don't know.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what it was, man. Well, either way, I'm gonna try and look at. I'm gonna let me go to the. I'm gonna read this situation here that came up with the current singer of Journey. Let me because I saw this a couple of days back and I was like, holy cow. This thing with Journey, with the drama going on with that band, is like going way out of its legion there. It's even to the point now where other bands, and where every other band is at each other's throats here.
It is true. I do want to shout out that band. It's a new tour coming out. I'm not going to go see it or nothing, but the Breaking Benjamin, they're having Bush obviously open for them this time, and that's who they had on their last tour, Bush and Alice in Chains, like the newer Alice in Chains.
That sounds cool.
But I guess they liked. I guess Brigham Benjamin got a lot of more ticket sales because they had brought Bush along. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In the previous ones, so and Bush sounded great. I mean, when you listen. Some of the, if you like type Bush 2022 concerts on YouTube, it sounds damn good. But Dr. Brown, you're not really into the grunge.
Not that much. The only not much.
I mean, you still gotta respect, but like Keith, you respect Bush, right?
Well, he had a couple of good songs here and there, but the thing was, like if it's going to be about, just oh, I'm depressed, I'm a loser, and all that stuff, then I cannot get into it. Because to me, rock and roll is about standing up, standing proud for what you believe in, standing for the right things, even if it's wrong. If people believe it's wrong, whatever it's about standing up loud, proud, and ready to go around, that's about it, But if it's going to be about, I'm a loser, I need something to keep myself at pace, which is probably in that case heroin. I mean, hence what happened with the singer from Mother Love Bone years before there. I mean, like, come on, and you always got to remember that the scene that I was very happy with, the big rock scene in the 1990s, we got massively pushed aside because of the alternative grunge scene. We were mocked. They were like, I remember on some night I saw a hard rock trio that I knew called Illegal perform at one of the nightclubs near Detroit.
Phil Insomnia and the Illegals?
No. No, I wish. No, well, either way, And one of these alternative girls, who was into bands like Hootie and the Blowfish, Melissa Etheridge at that time there, when there was all over the charts, all over the radio, all over the MTV, all over VH1. She was like, kind of mocked me a couple of days there. She was like, "Oh, what did you do last night? I saw a hard rock band called Illegal." She's like, "Did you wear spandex? Did you wear hair out there with a hairspray?" I was like, "Excuse me? Excuse me there?" I mean, like,
You know, for a few
Block
seconds.
SC.
what?
Yeah. After I take this shit, I'll block him.
Was it hard stool or soft stool?
Hard stool, very hard stool.
Wow.
Oh, man. Oh, boy.
Well, I
Dr. Brown
forgot.
sounds like laxatives when he talks, so it's easy for Keith to poo. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like a
Okay.
soothing voice. You
Okay,
know?
there. Now, I sent this to YR, and it's, get this. Arnel Pandana, I think that's how his last name is pronounced, from the band Journey, is at the center of controversy over a possible reunion of some of their other band members. Now, the Music Times reports, this is by the way from asamnews.com here, and apparently the bickering began with guitarist and vocalist Neil Sean suggested that founding band member and original lead vocalist Greg Rowley would be returning for the band's 50th anniversary tour. Now, Rowley, as you know, was a singer for Journey up until Steve Perry joined in about 1977. That's when he became the official new singer for the band, and that's when the band went off into chart-topping heights there. Now, the plan was nixed, but when Sean's wife, Michelle, publicly commented on social media that two Journey band members vetoed the idea, Arnel became irritated over that. Some fans immediately blamed Jonathan Cain and Piana for blocking Rowley's return to the group. Now, he said, quote, "You people are unbelievable. Who's ever spreading rumors about me regarding to Greg Rowley issue are maliciously ignorant. I'm not going to stoop down to your level." Now that's what he wrote there. He even went further and suggested the band get rid of him if they didn't like him, stating, quote, "If some of them are tired of me being with them, then by all means they can fire me anytime." Right. Now, Jeff Scott Soto, who briefly sang with Journey, chimed in on the whole situation. He said, quote, "You have nothing and no one to answer to, brother. You're a kind, gentle, and huge heart with a huge talent to match. It's the age-old crap when you achieve success and happiness. There are many people who want to break you down. Stay the course, which is your course. I'm proud to be your friend," said the vocalist. Like, one thing, I'm sure, man, I don't believe this. Like, there's so much drama going on with that band. It's like, I mean, all the drama that went on the Motley Crue, or the drama that went on with Judas Priest.
Well, the Motley Crue thing. If you listen to, they do down tune the songs. I think they,
really?
especially "Home Sweet Home." Yeah, if you listen to "Home Sweet Home" live with John 5 and all that, it's tremendously slower.
Yeah, they
song.
kind of
You can
slowed it
tell.
down there. Well, they did that on the
Very slow.
farewell tour as well there, by the way.
But I'm not gonna lie, Vince Neil's voice, it's probably the best it's been in maybe 20
agree.
years.
I agree. I
mean, it's not 100%, but it's like 70%. You know what I'm saying?
lot better than it was a couple years back when he was.
Now it's a
way
live
overweight.
mic, but there is backing. There is some backing tracks.
Really?
He's not lip syncing, but there is on some of the high stuff, some of the choruses.
Well, keep in mind.
There is some, but they already say they do that anyway. They already.
Also keep in mind that Motley Crue have two female backup singers on the KSJ tour. They did that on the tour, the Stadium tour. They have them on their Carnival Sins tour. They have them on the Girls, Girls, Girls tour, the Dr. Feelgood tour. They have a couple backup singers. In fact, Nikki Sixx, his side band, 6 a.m., they have 2 backup singers when they to take with them when they go on tour just as well there. So it may be the backup singers, because I was listening to the Wild Side, the clip that I showed YR earlier today. I could definitely hear the females in the background there. But of course, speaking of lip syncing, Dot McKee, who manages Kiss, I saw a video of where he is addressing that. Yeah, they do use backing tracks and such, Well, we knew that for years, man. We discussed that a few times. But but then again, we expect Paul Stanley. I don't know if he didn't let his vocal cords heal properly after he had that surgery back in 2007, or what it was there. Who knows? But
YR.
Hmm?
YR, you asked me about Bush, I don't know, like maybe 10 minutes ago. And
The band Bush.
the band Bush. And for a few seconds I forgot who Bush was, but then I remembered he has the song "I Don't Want to Come Back from This Club."
Gavin Rossdale. Yeah, he was brief. He was married to Glenn Stefani from No Doubt until she dumped him to go with that Blake Shelton guy.
Shelton.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I would like to see Bush and Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah. But however, the problem is it's just Gavin Rossdale and 3 new guys call themselves Bush.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So basically, it's Bush with featuring Gavin Rossdale, basically there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would really like to see Breaking Benjamin in concert. I mean, it's not a big priority, but it'd be cool.
Interesting there.
Yeah.
All right, there. So, are we ready to dig into? And by the way, before I go on further, going back to Motley Crue, credit to John 5 for doing a great job on some of the Crue tracks that they've been playing. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube, which, by the way, I guess it's already started there. It's in some of the video footage I got from YouTube is from Atlantic City, New Jersey there, and I wonder how Mick Mars is doing with his situation there. He's probably sitting at home giving thumbs up to John, for doing such a good job in carrying on the Crue tradition. And I guess how many personal change that this is for the Crue there? Because let's see, first Vince got booted out, then he got John Corabi. That was back in 92 and 94 when he released it at one self-titled album with Corabi on vocals, which, by the way, I've listened to a couple times. Sure, definitely deserve a nod.
Well, I was listening. I've been Brian. I've been watching John 5 real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And see, first of all, he's moving around the stage when Mick Mars never did that.
Yeah, sure there.
And pretty much it sounds spot on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I feel like maybe Mick Mars was a little bit more. I mean, he has a tone down pretty much, but it's like it sounds like what you would hear off the album.
Yes,
but I feel like Mars' stuff is more. I don't know, just more harder.
Well, pretty much, yeah. Well, then again,
in a way,
but then
live anyway, like because it is. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it is, like, even seeing all the tribute bands, like, usually, most of the time, 99.9.999, I mean, really 100% of the time, the instruments, even at the tribute bands, are spot on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of easy to sound just like what you're hearing off the record.
Yeah.
Now, the singer is a different story, where the tribute bands are bands that sing now that were popular 40 years ago, so maybe they don't like a Vince Neil, but the instruments, I mean, it all sounds
pretty
just great. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's something missing, but I mean, I'm not trying to be negative with the John 5 thing, but it sounds spot on. But it's just a little. I mean, if you listen to McMahon stuff, I mean, he just has his own signature. I don't know. It has to do with like the Keith. I don't know if you knew about this. It has to do with every individual has like a fingerprints. You know what I'm saying? So, like, like Eddie Van Halen's son, he has like similar fingerprints, so it's gonna sound just that much closer to the real Eddie. Now everyone can copy and try to do. I mean, it sounds, but it really individually when he creates something, it's really honed in to really your individuality. Yeah, people can copy, but just small technicalities here and there. You know what I mean? Like. It's hard to you can get the people's tone even electronically these days, right? With the box, you're gonna have to use amplifiers on stage. Like you can just go through use that box and hone into whatever like tone you want. Like the tone's all there, but I don't know. Like you look at the McMahon stuff from last year, and it sounds pretty much the same and everything, but he just has his own flair to it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like guitars are similar though. Stratocaster or Strat copy.
Yeah, or
Telecaster.
Telecaster, which is what John 5 is.
Well, I'm saying
Mars.
Mars used to use the like the Strat copies type deals with the. Look up the guitars, Keith, that he used to use.
Yeah.
Please. Keith King.
Keith. Probably can't hear you. Probably washing his hands after wiping.
Hopefully they did.
Okay. Well, you also got to keep in mind that for the most past few tours since he got back together in 2005, Mick Mars has had this, this serious condition where he's unable to move his neck, let alone move around that much on stage there. And you got to remember, that condition, as you grow older, it gets worse. I mean, the guy's in the 70's, believe it or not, there. So you got to keep in mind that it's when you have a serious condition, I can't even pronounce it, whether it's... Remember, I'm not that good at pronouncing medical terms here and there, but you got to keep in mind that when you have a condition such as he has, you got to do... Sooner or later, it's going to point where you're unable to perform again. Like, look at Ozzy Osbourne. How many years has he has with... Parkinson's disease, it's a very serious condition there when you think about it. The same thing with Glenn Tipton of Judas Priest. He has Parkinson's as well there. I know he was able to come out during the encores of some of the pre-shows there, but you got to remember, it's going to take a toll on you. And when they're unable to and when it takes a toll on you, regardless what kind of condition you have, you definitely got to take a few steps back and let somebody else fill in your position. And I guess it's up to that person in that position, to do you justice. I mean, like Zakk Wylde paying tribute to his friend Dimebag Darrell. He does a good job at that, no doubt about that. Axl Rose stepping in to fill in for Brian Johnson on the AC/DC tour in 2016. I felt he did a lot better with the Brian Johnson material than the Bon Scott material there, but credit to Axl Rose for doing that.
Wire, what do you want me to look up? Something about guitars?
Mick Mars' guitars, definitely.
Mick Mars
sure.
like guitars.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, because he had a lot of them. A Black Les Paul, a Telecaster made by a different company with a different head on it there. One of those pointed heads that points down there. May have been a Carbo Jackson. You look at the video for Wild Side, what I'm talking about there.
Slash has one of his guitars. Okay, 1972 Gibson Les Paul Custom.
Nice.
Worn vintage white, worn sunburst, natural gloss, 1994 to present. Black years used 1982 to 1983. Oh, was it? It says Gibson Custom Flying V.
Nice.
Wait, I think the one before that is. Oh, wait, the one before that's called Fender Modified Stratocaster.
Oh yeah.
Then there's the BC Rich Warlock.
Oh yeah, remember that. That BC Rich was a favorite during the 1980s rock scene there. No doubt about that.
Yep. Kramer Barada Special. And
Damn.
Time. Oh. Kramer Telecaster. And that's it.
It's all right, man. We can move on.
Okay.
Mark, did you want to move on to? We can move on to the list.
Yeah, let's do so, man.
Sure.
But basically, real quick,
Okay.
before that, I'll give you my opinion on what Mick Mars's guitars were, because I believe he was using a Kramer back in the day, and
Yes.
BC Rich brand as well.
Yep.
Some of those music videos, and then, but I'm saying like nowadays, what's really popular is like these. They look like Strats, but they don't have they don't
No
have
logo.
the name Fender, no logos. It's kind of custom shop type thing, and they're still like $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 type thing. They all have the double humbuckers, double pickups, and they have the Floyd Roses on them, but they look like a Stratocaster, like what me and Brown have,
Yes.
basically. And they're heavy guitars, but I mean
Yeah.
it's like custom shop type thing, because they're not really. Yeah, it could be like an old Fender Strat fucking neck, but there's no Fender name. Like, look at those ones that Mick Mars was using recently for these tours. Like they look like a Strat and everything, but you can tell like it's like that finish on a guitar that's like not rusty finish, but like just worn out finish. Like
Yes,
a wore
I
out
know.
finish
I'm
on the
looking
guitar,
at
but
them
that's
right
the
now.
finish. You know what I'm saying? Post one of those so we know. And so it looks like an old beat up junk. Even what's his name from Dawkins had one actually.
George Lynch.
The new guitarist.
Oh, you mean John Levin?
John Levin, yeah, he had one of the, it looked like a Strat and everything, but it had like the double humbuckers, which basically is like it's like two, really like four pickups. I mean, it's called one or the other, I forget, but it's like more power to it. You know what I'm saying? Some of those guitars like the Gibson SGs, Les Pauls have those pickups in the middle, as opposed to what me and Brown have on ours, which are like single ones. Still
Yes.
good, still sound good, but it's for the metal, for the harder, crunchier stuff. You want the double, the humbuckers, but John Levine had it as well, and it's a pretty cool, like, because they look like old beat up pieces of junk, but like realistically, they're like a $5,000 piece, custom paint job, custom piece, and everything, and they fucking sound great because it all goes back to that one guitar Eddie had, which was, whether you want to say it's like the Bumblebee one. Not necessarily talking about the Frankenstein because it had the hole in the middle and shit, but like even just the Bumblebee one, like that was like Eddie's guitars were like one of the first guitars with that Strat body and that Floyd Rose on there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he basically invented putting the double pickups on like a Strat body guitar with the tremolo system and everything. So like he really came out, when those started coming out, 70 and 80, 81 and shit, like he really, made that shit happen first.
Yeah.
But so if you're looking back at it, like even those Chevelles and some of those Kramers from the 80s, like it looked like a Strat body, right? But it had, traditionally, the Stratocasters just have the single pickups, the single coil pickups, like 3 of them.
Well,
which, more jazzy blues style, you can still play whatever songs on them, but if you want that crunchy, harder, rock sound, you want to go with the double humbucker, like
Dave Murray from Iron Maiden. I remember seeing his Strat. He has a couple of double humbuckers on his guitar there. In fact, finally, years later, Fender finally came out with a Dave Murray signature guitar built in that exact style there.
I mean, you look at even I don't know, Steve Vai's with that handle and the
Oh yeah,
guitar's
the
the signature handle.
Ibanez
I don't
guitars.
know
Yeah.
if it is. I know it's Ibanez, but I don't know. I think it is double humbucker. It's got to be if it's Ibanez.
Most likely, yes. A lot of
But
guitar
then
players.
you look at like Jimi Hendrix, like he had the single, he had just the regular Fender Stratocaster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just depends, like, but it's that body frame. Eddie Van Halen started that in these copies, like Mick Mars. Did you look up one, Earl, to find one?
Well, I put a couple of Mick Mars guitars in Skype chat here. It should be coming up soon there. I don't know if you'll see it already there. Let me see if it comes up there. Let me.
Yeah, you see that, Keith?
Yes.
Like beat up type,
Yes, it is. Well, kind of like this. He has a few of those guitars there, but those are kind of like, I don't know how
He really
long.
had that He really had the girls one.
Yes, he did there. I
Wow.
remember. I think it's on the. You look at the Wild Side video where they're performing that song live, and you see he's playing it right throughout the song there. Mm-hmm. Yep. And by the way,
Well, we're going to present you with part 2 of the 70s list with Arknolia.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. First group I'm going to mention is Deep Purple.
Oh
Mark
yeah.
1 was in the late 60s. Mark 2 dominated the 70s. And in my opinion, it's probably the best version of Deep Purple. Although Mark 3 wasn't bad. But that was their hit albums for the most part.
Yeah.
70s.
You gotta. I mean, like, and the Mark II lineup we're talking about is, of course, Ian Gillan, Richie Blackmore, Roger Glover, Ian Pace, and the late John Lord. They were the ones. They really was a loud ass band. When you think about, I guess, were they in the Guinness Book of World Records for loudest rock band performance? I guess, if I understand.
Yeah, I believe so at one time.
Yes.
Was there 7? Was there 7 mocks for Deep Purple or something like that?
I'm not too sure.
The only constants in there were John Lord and Ian Pace, drummer.
I think right now
they were pretty much the constants.
Yeah, and Ian Gillan as well there. He's still with the band after all these years. I think they got Don Airy as their keyboard player currently after how many years with the band there. Remember, John Lord retired and he passed away, I guess it was in 2012 or 2013 or 2011 or a couple of years earlier. I'm not too sure. I forgot what year it was, but he passed on. I think it may have been the Big Evil Sea, but Blackmore has been out of the group since 1994, 95 there. Him and Ian Gillan just couldn't get along no more. Those guys were bickering left and right and left there. I mean, Lars Ulrich even said that the fights between those two members are about as legendary as the band's music.
Yeah. A lot of people don't remember Mark 1 for the most part.
Yeah.
I liked him, but I like Mark 2 the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Mark 3 pretty well.
Yep.
After that, wasn't as good, but it was pretty decent. I mean, it was listenable. It wasn't horrible.
Well, I guess because David Coverdale added a little bit of somewhat of a bluesy soul appeal to the Purple Trait there. And don't keep in mind, they had good songs like Burn, and a couple others from later on, like what's it called? Stormbringer, I guess it was called there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Sail Away.
Sail Away, yes. And now I don't know how it was when Blackmore left, and they had that guy Tommy Bolin fill in this spot there. They had this one album called Come Taste the Band, and after that album came out, they just folded for good. Coverdale put together his band, Whitesnake. He later recruited John Lord and Ian Pace into that lineup. Blackmore went on to do Richie Blackmore's Rainbow with the late Rodney James Dio, the late Cozy Powell, and Tony Carey on keyboards there. Of course, Ian Gillan had he had this band called Gillan, who one of the guitar players is currently still with Iron Maiden, Yannick Gears, I think his name is. Yeah, Yannick Gears, correct. And of course, as we all know, he did one tour with Black Sabbath, who also was a very popular band in the 1970s there.
Right.
Of course, he got.
Then we come to.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Art.
No, go on.
No, Black Sabbath.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, Black Sabbath. I mean, like, they released a lot of still popular albums to this day. The first album titled Black Sabbath, Paranoid, which became one of the biggest albums of their decade. Little Comedy Times, the three main tracks, Iron Man, the title cut, and War Pigs are continuously played on FM radio to this day. And, later on they had Master Reality, one of my personal favorites, because the lyrics on all the songs in that album are massively written awesomely there, when you think about it.
Yes. My friend Brian wants to join. I just called him. I said, you know music from the 70s? He said, yeah.
Okay.
He is not from this community, Ark and Brown, so he doesn't do drama. He doesn't know nothing about the drama. He's
Sounds
pretty
good.
cool. He was on the show the other day.
Okay, nice.
And he's
Cool there.
African American. If that's cool with y'all, or
No problem at all there.
all right.
All right.
Hey,
One has a
Brian.
problem with Prince for some reason, but
Yeah. So, like, what kind of music you know from the 70s?
Let me think. Bruce Springsteen.
Me. I know AC/DC.
Yep.
Aerosmith.
Oh yeah, Aerosmith too. I know them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Toys in the
I like
Attic,
that.
Rocks, Get Your Wings.
Yeah. I like that song "Hey Hey Goodbye" by Steam.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that song.
King Harvest, "Dancing in the Moonlight." I think that's 70s.
I think Bruce
I
Springsteen.
think you're right.
Yep.
Mm.
Let's see.
Oh, and also I know Journey. I think that's 70s.
Yeah, they had a couple 70s albums back before. In fact, Steve Perry joined the band around 1977 there. That's, as I mentioned earlier in the program, that's when their peak started to take off there. Before that, had a couple other albums with Greg Rowley on the vocals there. It was more like a jam band, more prog jam group there.
DNMT, what are some of your favorite groups from the 70s, brother? Real quick. Just quick top 5.
I that if you and I can talk.
So like Steve Miller Band, Doors.
You and I need to talk.
DNMT's a big Doors guy.
Uh-huh.
Hey, what's up, Dr. O? Hope you're doing good.
We're all doing good, man. How you doing, Danny, there?
I'm just saying,
DNMT hates me right now, but
Again, my sloppy toes are here, and it made my stomach feel like shit, so I'll probably be taking it fast.
DNMT's gonna wring my neck.
Mute.
No, I'm not. Why?
No, I know I'm in the hot seat with you, but give me like 3 favorite bands you like from the 70s. No drama here. I'm just saying, come on.
You can call someone and we can talk, and then if you want to start calling me and asking questions, that's
I was just busting your balls with me. All right, but no, look.
Mute.
We will.
Yes.
We'll get together, Danny.
No, I'm talking about.
Brian, mute.
Not now.
We're talking about
not
Keith
now.
right
No
now.
drama,
You
no
hear
drama.
noise in the back.
No drama.
Mute, Brian, mute until
Brian,
you like
mute.
ready to
Brian, are you
talk.
a big Doors guy, brother? A lot of deaths in the 70s as well. A lot of,
Oh
major...
yeah, I like Bob Seger, Old Time Rock and Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 78, that song came out.
Yep.
Stranger
Go
in
ahead,
Town,
Mayak.
the name of that album.
Cool. Yeah. Go ahead, YR.
Agree.
What?
I said, go ahead, YR.
And I think Ark was supposed to going to say something there.
Oh, all right. Cool.
Of course, Creedence started in the late 60s, but they had a lot of their big stuff in the 70s. Probably my favorite album, Cosmos Factories. If you ever want to hear a great song, it's Ramble Tamble.
Mm.
It's real similar to, they do the same thing in that song that kind of like Oh Well and Albatross by Fleetwood Mac, where they do this slide guitar bit in the middle.
All right.
It's a great song, though. It rocks, and then it does the slide guitar, then it rocks. I mean, it's a good song.
All right.
It's about 8 minutes long.
Nice. And we can't forget their cover version of Heard It Through the Grapevine, which they did awesomely.
Which is about 11 minutes long.
Which is even more cooler. I always dug long songs there. Or Susie Q.
Oh, yeah. That one runs about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they got great material. Then Three Dog Night, their big stuff was the 70s for the most part.
Yep.
Now, Dr. Brown, when you grew up and you were alive in the 70s, right?
Yes, I was a child around that time there. Yes. Back
so
then,
like when they had TV for you or whatever, you had to pay. They were it was free basically with the antenna.
It was basically a regular TV. This was way before cable.
They didn't have no music videos or nothing. So you
Nope,
never really
not
saw
at
the
all.
artists.
They weren't even called. They were
concert.
But basically they had little. They didn't even call music videos back then. It was basically called. I know it was promotional clips
Like the
or
midnight
special with
Midnight
Don
Special, yeah.
Kirshner. Yes. They had those kind of shows there. They had, remember a couple times they had late night on the weekends. They would have some concerts, movies playing like Paul McCartney and Wings, rock show. That was a concert movie there. I mean, this was.
Oh
way
yeah,
back.
I like Looking Glass, Brandy, You're a Fine Girl.
Good song.
Yep.
Probably one of the best one-hit wonders out there.
Exactly.
I agree with you, Art.
Definitely a great song. I don't know why in the world they couldn't follow up with something else. It's not like, the record producers like to tell artists, hey, you had a hit with that song. Get another one that sounds exactly like it. It's like, what are you, crazy?
Yeah, because... but then again, that's how record company executives are. They're like, they're basically like, they want the same thing. They figure this, if the first one would do one, maybe if it sounds the same there, it'll probably be a hit as well. That's what the record company did with the band Quiet Riot. And you know what? It did not work. Back then they had a hit song.
Another great example is Question Mark and Mysterion from the 60s. They did a huge hit called 96 Tears.
Yep.
Record company had them follow up with a song called Can't Get Enough of You, Baby. That sounded like 96 Tears with different lyrics.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. It was unreal.
And what happens when that happens? You know what happens when the companies suggest that to these bands and the bands listen? The bands flop.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes, and the executives who came up with this dumbass idea, they're sitting on the squat pods. They're like, oh shit, what did we fucked up? But they're not thinking about that. They're thinking about more record sales, more record sales, more record sales. That's what they care about.
And they thought the band wasn't as good as they thought that was, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Another big 70s band, the ultimate cover band, Three Dog Night.
Oh, yeah. We just mentioned a moment ago.
They pretty much did other people's materials for the most part.
They did.
They do a fantastic version of the Otis Redding song.
Try a Little Tenderness?
Yeah, on their live album, Live at the Forum.
Because I had only one record.
Absolutely awesome version of that song on that album.
Was that the one called Live at the LA Forum?
Yeah, well, they call it Live at the Forum, but it was the LA Forum.
Yeah, because I love it. Because, that one of the most standout of that album was the back cover of one of the members wear the crown of thorns, putting his hands out to the crowd up there, and the crowd reaching back to him, kind of portray himself as Jesus in there when you think about it.
So they didn't have They didn't have cell phones back then. Obviously, they barely had TV.
I know.
Nope.
In the 70s, I don't think every home, as opposed comparable to like the 90s, had a TV in their home. Maybe there's still some families with just radios, But
exactly.
There was magazine. It was just a very simpler time back then. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I remember the
TVs black and white for the most part.
Yeah, and you didn't have remote controls. You had to go up there, change the channel manually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, didn't color TV come out in like the late 50s or the 60s?
Early 60s, I think.
Yeah,
I think it was early 60s. One of the first shows, but it wasn't the first show, was Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. That's what they called it because it was color.
All color, yes. And I think
one of the few first shows that did that. Bonanza. It started in color. And there were a lot of shows that had a black and white season and then it switched to color. Bewitched is a good example.
Yeah.
Their first season, maybe their second season, was in black and white, and the rest of it was in color.
Yes.
I Love Lucy, Keith. I Love Lucy. That was all black and white, but I think
that's way before that. Way before
I feel like they were the special and color ones, or like you could get the DVDs in color again or something. But I used to watch it when I was like 5 or 6, and it was always in black and white. Classics.
Yeah, I remember watching I Love Lucy. Yeah, I remember watching I Love Lucy and Bewitched on Nick at Night.
Yes, and also
the Twilight Zone was all black and white.
Yes, and also keep in mind that we didn't have any of the political correctness on some of the that we have nowadays. Back in the 70s era, well, take a look at All in the Family. There was a lot of discussions, a lot of incorrect, stuff being said by Archie Bunker during that time there. If any of the SJWs and all the sensitive kids out there will watch any of the episodes where Archie Bunker goes off on blacks, this person or that person there, they would throw a fit. They would go apeshit because back then it was like, throw it out there. How would they feel about Richard Pryor on his comedy albums using the N-word on his comedy?
I think he even used it on his show.
Yes, he did.
He had a show that his show didn't last very long, but it was definitely controversial.
Absolutely, there. And keep in mind how. Wow. And obviously, he was surprised, like, why is a black man using that word, But then again, you got to remember, they did use that, the black communities did use that word on one another. Look at some of the movies like Superfly or Shaft or any of the black exploitation films which came out earlier in that decade there.
A movie like Blazing Saddles wouldn't get one today.
Exactly. What the heck?
Okay.
Oh, right there.
Oh, okay. I think Brian loves the movie Friday, so he's like talking about Big Worm from the movie Friday.
No, that was in the 90s. There.
Yeah.
Okay, another 70s group that we had. A lot of these groups are going to span decades, but they had big stuff in the 70s. Was the Temptations.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
My Girl.
That's from the 60s, but they had other hits in the 70s as well there. Papa Was a Rolling Stone was one of them.
Which probably my favorite by them.
Oh, yeah. The Rolling
I really liked it. Well, yeah, they spanned the 60s through
the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s there. You had a lot. In fact, they even started an old record label titled Rolling Stones Records. They released a lot of records on Like the first one was Sticky Fingers with the actual zipper on the front cover there. And of course, they had other albums like Goat's Head Soup. They had Black and Blue. They had
Yeah, they're good.
Exile on Main Street.
Yep.
And Brian Jones.
Well, Brian Jones was dead at this time. He died a year before 1970.
Tragic story.
Yes.
Yeah.
The guy
man.
started the band.
Yes.
Very
And they
true.
kicked him out.
And
I
he
wonder
couldn't
why.
because he couldn't handle his drug use no more. There's usually a lot of
Yeah,
times
true.
there's what they'll
Probably why
there's
he
u-
passed away.
yes. Well,
A
basically,
lot to do with it, yeah.
yes, you got to remember that there's usually that one band member who just can't stop the drugging. Whether it's Jerry Garcia with the Grateful Dead, or Keith Moon with the Who, or David Crosby later on in the 70s and 80s there. I mean, like, there's usually that one member who just can't stop, They just can't quit, They have to go through mountains and mountains of just get that guy to get off the stuff there. And it usually, at that time, there was no such thing as rock bottom until you actually hit it there. And also keep in mind, there was no rehab centers until I guess about 77, 78 there. I guess Betty Ford was the one who started that. The wife of Gerald Ford, one of our presidents, after Richard Nixon resigned.
Yeah, which trivia note, he ironically was the only president we ever had that was not elected.
Yeah, exact precisely. He took over Nixon's spot after Nixon resigned in 74 there. And we all saw, I remember I was watching the footage of that when that occurred.
Well, actually, he wasn't even an elected vice president. He was appointed after Spiro Agnew got resigned.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember hearing that.
And then
name
he
a
was
lot of times.
appointed, and then Gerald Ford became president. So he was the only person who was not elected at all as a
Wow.
president or vice president, and yet served.
That's true.
Because every other guy that we had as a vice president that became president, Lyndon Johnson, was elected as a vice president.
Yeah. Now,
But Gerald Ford was appointed.
pointed, yes. Now, I know, Ark, you may remember this comedian. His name was David Fry. F-R-Y-S. He would do albums impersonating Richard Nixon. In fact, I'm Mom and Dad.
Yeah, he had one album. He had one album that was something like "What I Am Not the President." I don't remember what it was, but it had "president" in the title.
I know. I'm not sure. I
Oh,
remember
you talking about who you talking about?
David Fry. He was a
David
comedian.
Fry.
David Fry. He did a lot of albums as Richard Nixon, impersonating Richard Nixon. He had albums like Richard Nixon Superstar or Radio Free Nixon.
And
Which
Keith, he
we
used to
had.
be the president, Keith, Richard Nixon.
Yes.
Yeah. I've heard of his name a lot.
Yes. In fact, I guess you could say he was one of the first reasons why people kind of like started looking down on the Republican Party because of the actions he did during his presidency in terms of Watergate, and everything else there. The fact that he was also trying to get John Lennon banned from the U.S. because John Lennon, yes.
Oh, didn't
He was
like
good.
he couldn't get accused of like not Watergate, but it was something else gate, Pizzagate, right?
No, that's
No,
just Watergate.
Oh.
It was mostly Watergate.
Wait, YR, what about the? Wasn't there something that like they were comparing Watergate to that like just happened recently? I think it was pizza, like Hillary Clinton had this like pizza restaurant with
Oh,
like
gosh.
sex trafficking.
no. Hang on.
What?
That has nothing to do with Watergate. They just used the term "gate" after it, just because it sounded cool.
Oh, okay, got it.
Exactly. They all do that. The press often does that a lot of times there.
Oh yeah, true. Okay, got it.
Like, for example, Dave talking about, Scott McKinnon and his bullshit, Carlos Cabral, to address it on his channel. So basically, what we got here is called Skunty Gate.
Oh, cool. All right. Nice.
That's to put
Watergate was the actual name of the place.
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
But everybody else, to tie it to it, just take whatever's going on and tie gate after it because it sounds cool
Yes.
to the press.
Yeah.
Exactly there. And plus, it involves the scandal, then they're going to use the word gate along with it there.
Right.
Yeah. I see now.
It was Watergate that brought Nixon down to they having him no choice but to resign.
Right.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, back to the list.
Yep.
This group had the best debut album, one of the best debut albums of all time, and every album after that debut got worse and worse as they went on. It's a group by the name of Boston.
Really? So how did the
their
other
debut album? Go ahead.
Yeah, how did Don't Look Back and Beacon was worse compared to the first album there?
Well, the first album, sales-wise too, but a lot of people will tell you that the best album by Boston was the debut album.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, the one they always play.
Second best was Don't Look Back, which is not a bad album, but it's just not at the same level. Then it just kind of gets a little bit worse until they hit corporate America, and that one is like, you guys want to rethink that one?
Well, actually, let me put this out there. Third Stage, which came out 8 years after Don't Look Back, went to number 1. And it spawned
it's a very decent album.
Yeah, dude. It was a lot of controversy behind that album there because there was issues with the record label, suing the band, suing Tom Schultz for delaying the process of the label there. The first Boston album took 5 years to fully complete, believe it or not, because Schultz is one of those guys that wants to make sure every little bit on every song is absolutely top-notch perfect. He even said in an interview that he will not put out a second-rate album to fill the pockets of himself or CBS Records. And CBS Records were tired of waiting for the third album to come out there, which, by the way, going back to Don't Look Back, he said that most of the songs on that album were meant for a side one, and it just got yanked out of his hands abruptly because the record label was, we need a new record out. It's ASAP. We don't want to wait how many years, That's how record labels are at times, and you can't do that with Tom Schultz. I'm sorry. No. But
Then you got...
Go ahead. Go ahead, Darren.
You were making a point on Boston.
Yeah, and you got to remember, it takes a lot of time and progress, to make sure a song is perfect there, because what it's going to be, if you want to make, you got to remember, some people like to be perfectionists in the recording studio, like a lot of times we get these remix albums, we get these greatest hits compilations, and they're able to go back to the master tapes and redo what should have been done back then, I think they did that with the Luther Vandross a couple times there, And I guess, Schultz is one of those guys that wants to make sure it's all out there, properly done, correctly, perfectly, right there as it's presented there. And the first Boston album was a proof to that. I mean, it still does, some of that songs from that album still gets played on the classic rock stem today.
Yeah, I think my favorite off the album is Foreplay Long Time.
Yeah, we all know that song there. And by the way, check out a gal named Rachel Flowers, little girl who plays an awesome keyboard. She did a version of that song.
Look up Gala Street Party? Gala? Gala, like 1970s Gala. Studio 54.
Gala.
Studio 54, Keith.
Gala. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's...
They had like the galas and shit. Studio 54.
Well, I know what you're talking about there. I know where you're going there. If it's to say that some of the stuff in Studio 54 is kind of was inspiration for all these crazy club kid fashions that would see years on down the line there. And I've seen some pretty whacked out fashions. Meh. Oh, boy.
Okay, another big artist of the 70s, Jackson Browne. Had a lot of good stuff in the 70s.
Yep.
I'll look up Gala Studio 54 right now. I'm mute too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna close the gate.
Okay. After Jackson Browne, I've got Joni Mitchell on the list, who was a big artist in the 70s. Then you had the Commodores with Lionel Richie.
Oh yeah, they had a couple good songs. Like and some of those songs were ballads that got played a lot of times. Whether it's "Oh No," "Still," "Easy," which was one of my favorites.
Oh, Easy's great.
Yeah, it is.
Easy's a fantastic
Absolutely.
song.
That's the first song I heard from them there. And we also got to give it up to K-Tel.
Which is actually Easy has one of the best guitar solos I've ever heard.
Was
Don't you remember that in the middle?
Yes.
Was Studio 54 like the start of the nightclubs?
It was one of the premium nightclubs in New York City there.
Nightclubs
Wait,
have been
hold
around
on. I'll be
forever.
right back.
Yeah. You know, it closed.
Nightclubs have been around forever. 54 didn't start it.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. But it was more notable because, one, you got to be your true self when you got inside the doors. A lot of drugs are being passed out and done over there. A lot of sexual debauchery just as well there. You could find, if you were gay or bi, you could finally let out that side of you inside those closed doors there and have nobody come at you from left or right. And a lot of celebrities would come party there as well there, including Andy Warhol, members of the Rolling Stones. But the only problem is you have to be selected. You can't just pay a
Right.
regular admission.
Are you talking about Studio 54 right now?
Correct, yes.
Right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds cool. Hold on.
Well, you also had Jim Croce or Crochet or whatever. I think it's Croce.
Croce, yes, I remember him.
Had some pretty good stuff.
Operator?
You know,
I'm back.
he had the amusing stuff like You Don't Mess Around with Jim and stuff like that. But
Yep.
he had the good songs like Time in a Bottle, Operator.
Yep. And of course, Bad Leroy Brown.
Right.
A great story, and being depicted in that song there. Guy who was all badass and all of a sudden bad man is a badass, and all of a sudden towards the end he ends up getting his ass handed back to him by somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say shout out to Jedi Knight in the chat. Dr. In the chat, Jedi Knight has a question for you.
Yeah, I'm looking at right. Did I have a Walkman or a CD player in the 70s? No, the Walkmans didn't come out until the 1990s, and that was started in Japan. And the CD players didn't really get. You had to wait towards the later half of the 80s for the CDs to come out there, let alone the CD players.
Basically, we had vinyl.
Vinyl, 40.
cassettes,
Wait, when did
and 8 tracks.
when did the cassette players come out?
I'm not too sure there. I think they came out in the 70s there, if I correct there.
Okay.
I believe that is
All right.
correct.
Yes. But they didn't. But you had to put them in a regular stereo to play them in. They didn't have Walkmans back in the 70s there. That would later come out. Both the CD players and the Walkmans would be coming out in the 80s there.
Right.
Whoa. All right. Nice.
And, of course, back to Jim Croce real quick. He's another one of those artists that died tragically. I believe a plane crash, too.
Yes, it was there. A lot of artists, a few artists were dying in plane crashes, including the members of Leonard Skinner there. years on down the line.
And Harry Chapin,
Harry Chapin, yes. Mm-hmm.
Otis Redding.
Otis Redding as well there. And I think Harry Chapin died in 81, if I'm correct. Yeah, either way there.
I believe that.
Yes.
There was another good storyteller, by the way.
Yeah, we got to give Chapin
Cats in the Cradle, WOLD,
Taxi. In fact, he even had a sequel called for the Taxi, simply called Sequel. That came out in, I guess, 1981 as well there, the same year he passed away.
Yeah. And I guess since we're getting kind of late, the last one I was going to mention for the night is AC/DC, which Keith mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah. The album High Voltage came out in 76 there. Great album from them.
Yeah. Didn't Back in Black come out?
1980.
Okay. I was thinking it came out right at the end of the 70s, but 1980.
That was Highway to Hell. That came out in 79, and that was the last record with Bon Scott on there as their frontman. He would pass away a year later.
Was You Shook Me All Night Long their first radio hit?
No.
No.
No. The first time I heard of that was in 78 when it was already rock and roll, and it was the song Highway to Hell, for sure.
Oh, okay. I know that one. That one. I know a lot of AC/DC songs.
Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap was done early, but it was released later.
Yes, in 81 after Back in Black. And people actually kind of thought, oh, wait a minute. What's going on there? That wasn't Brian Johnson one who done, well, some people got confused because Dirty Deeds came out.
I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, that album was among their first albums, but that Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap and Big Balls got a lot of play because everybody's like, hey, AC/DC, what else have they got? This stuff.
Yeah, my uncle, he loves classic rock, but he says AC/DC just does the same song over and over and over and over again.
Well, that's the recent stuff. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the last few records they've been putting out is like a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 17, part 7 to 29. It's like, geez, you could at least come out with a different production or added some reverbs in your drum kit here, or basically come up with some kind of different sound. But the problem with that is that if they do that, they'll piss off their main audience and end up.
Because a lot of people, when they have a favorite group, they like to hear the same songs over and over. It's like, come on, let's do some variety, you know?
I felt for that with Eminem. That's what Eminem did. Like with this, like his first hit off every album was the same, like almost like the same song over and over again.
Yeah,
I fell for it.
Yes, exactly. But that's how they get you until the other singles come out and you realize, wow, this man's those other songs had a lot more serious tone in the lyrics there.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, hey, did you guys listen to that song that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago by Funkadelic called Maggot Brain?
You know what? I'm glad you reminded me of that. I actually forgot about that with amidst all the bullshit going on in my life there. I got to check it out tonight.
When you listen to it, it's vastly different from what you're going to expect. I mean, I don't know. It's let's just put it this way. Listen to it. Tell me what you think.
All right.
And same thing with Ramble Tamble by Creedence.
All right.
Because you'll love the break. You will absolutely love the break if you like Oh Well.
All right there. Nice. All right. All right there. So I guess we're getting close to the end of the program here. So Mitchell's will
we're definitely going to have a part 3.
Yes, which is be tomorrow night. Same time, same station there, people.
Right. And we just need to move a little faster through this list or we'll be doing it by next Christmas.
I know, yeah, exactly there. But then again, we do appreciate that questions that with the questions that Keith has been throwing us because about the 70s, because people today need to know about
Yeah,
how
it's
things were back then.
yeah. Actually,
It's like us.
that helps contribute.
It's kind of funny.
You're welcome.
I saw this Facebook video, and it was some girl who's only used to cell phones. She was given can make a call on this regular home phone that we used to have back in the day there, and the girl's like trying to press the buttons like like a regular cell phone. And the girl's like, it's not working. That's not working. That's like, no, you pick up the receiver first, then you dial the numbers. But the girl didn't even know that because obviously she was not born at that time there.
That's kind of funny. Sort of.
That's how, but then again, now, often at times we would get down the throats of these young kids today, don't you realize how things were back in our day? Don't you realize back then, but then again, you got to see from their perspective. They did not grow up in the eras that we grew up in. Me and Ark did. They grew up in some of these people were born around 1990 to 2000s there, so they only know the things that were going on back then they were growing up, whether it's Batman the Animated Series or Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or some of the politics and ways of life back then.
And that one, Keith?
Now,
Yeah.
an example of how things were different is when I was in service from 71 to 78, I was a computer technician. I fixed them, and they were huge machines that did very little. The memory was what they called a core memory, which was basically magnetic cores with wires wrapped around them. And they were huge boxes that held very, very little data. The components within the computer themselves they had actual components like a transistor, a diode, resistor, those things. We didn't have PCBs then. We didn't have we didn't have printed circuits of any kind. It was basically cards that you stuck in a drawer, and when you pulled them out, you could see the components on the cards, and we fixed those things. I mean, we put them on a troubleshooter and figured out what was wrong with them and repaired them. I mean, unsoldered and pulled out a transistor because it was bad or whatever, put another one in and soldered it back in. And the whole drawer full of like 80 of these little cards are basically a printed circuit board now. Just one little circuit. Yeah. It's unreal, the difference. Yeah. I mean, it's unreal. And we didn't have home computers. That didn't start coming out to the late 70s, early 80s.
Yes.
I had what the hell was the name of that computer? But I got one of the first ones didn't have memory.
Macintosh?
No.
Oh, okay, there.
Oh, no. This was I think it started with an O. But at any rate, it operated off floppy disk, the 5 1/4 floppy disk.
I remember those, man, as a kid there.
And it had a green screen, or, not the same thing as a green screen you see people use in
Yes,
video.
I know what you're talking about there, yes.
But the screen was green and black.
Yes.
And basically, these computers did very little outside of just kind of barely functioning for the most part.
Yeah. Yep.
About all you could do on them for the most part was word processing, which was nothing like Word.
Yeah.
And spreadsheets, which was nothing like Excel. Very simplistic spreadsheets.
Exactly.
But these things...
I have the names of computers that from the 70s.
Okay, lay it on
PDP,
us.
PDP, Atari, Macro, Apple, Intel, and IBM.
I remember
And
IBM.
this one was a portable. God, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was one of the first ones that used a double floppy system.
Yeah, no. I know a lot of times if you had to come, I know there was a store that people would go to in case they wanted to get something for their computers or TVs or whatever there. And we remember that store known as Radio Shack.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, I miss that
They're
place.
gone now, aren't they?
I know they are. I miss
Yeah.
that place, man. I used to buy a lot of headphones, used to buy like cassette tapes. I used to buy a lot of, I remember bringing, tape recorders back then. People had these small ones, like you could record from them. You could record whatever you wanted from the radio. When I first started recording music from the radio, I had the tape recorder set right up next to the speaker, press the record and play button to record whichever song I wanted. And this is before I got my first, boom box, as it was called back then, which will later be on in the 1980s there.
Damn, I was gonna say something, I forgot.
Yeah.
Okay, I also was looking at portable computers because I was going to see if I could find the name of that one that I had.
I remember those big black floppy disks you put in the computer, the thin ones.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and they used to have an 8-inch and a 5 1/4-inch.
And then I remember after that they had the short plastic ones that were all different colors.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
The Osborne one. I had one of those.
Ah. Damn.
Late 70s, I believe.
Yeah.
Early 80s, actually.
79, 78, I guess. Yeah.
Well, that was an unreal machine for that time.
Kmart. Anybody remember Kmart?
Yep.
Yes.
Oh man, my first electric guitar. My first electric guitar was a Tiesco. It was purchased from my mom and dad because it expressed an interest in playing guitar there after watching the Beatles cartoons. So it got in nearby Kmart. They had the oldest selection of amplifiers made of plastic, and of course Tiesco guitars. I was looking through TS guitars and the Google images, and I found the exact one model that was exactly the same model that I used to play, and all those memories came back there when I was a kid learning guitar for the first time there and discovering rock and roll radio.
My first guitar was in 1966 or 5. Was what they call a Sears. You remember Sears?
Yes, I do as well there, yeah.
It was a Sears Silvertone, which the case was the amplifier.
Oh, wow, interesting.
Now, when you carried it around, you had a guitar in there, but it was also the amplifier, so you just opened up your case, propped it, plugged it in. And I had one of those for a very long time.
Wow.
And I did it because...
You did.
And I did it because I had listened to the Beatles, and the stuff like She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, the Beach Boys. I'd get around, and it was like, hey, I got to learn how to play the guitar.
Yep.
And basically, it was my first guitar.
Nice. If it's to say that the Beatles were one of the biggest reasons why most of us started picking up guitars in the first place there. Including yours truly,
that's
right
cool.
here. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, what did you give me for Valentine's Day?
Oh gosh.
Because it says, what did YR get Keith? It says in the chat.
My chat?
Yeah.
I just saw the price for the Osborne one in 1981.
Wow.
Was $1,795, and I find that hard to believe because I know I didn't pay that much.
Wow!
But you can get laptops nowadays for $500 and $600 that do way more, and some of them don't even have floppies. Wow. They just operate strictly off the hard drive and CDs.
Exactly.
Yep. now you don't even need USB drives. Now you have the cloud and Google Drive.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also let's see.
Are you
Let's,
big Keith, are you a big applesauce fan?
No.
and by
I
the
have
way,
I was
never
into
been an
pudding.
Apples fan.
I was into vanilla pudding for a while, but I'm not into that anymore.
What?
oh, we don't be getting that here. And also one more thing. Back
Keith
then,
likes the yogurt.
if we had to communicate with
Yeah.
someone, we had to do it through the telephone or for face to face. We didn't have
Yep.
Skype. We didn't
you
have
remember-
Streamlabs. We didn't have YouTube, let alone Twitter, Facebook, any amounts of social media, any of
Okay.
that. None of that.
Yeah, I remember
Did
AOL
any of you
Instant
have
Messenger.
to operate?
Yeah, anybody's what?
Yeah.
What was that?
Did any of you ever operate a dial-up computer where you had to use
Yes.
the phone line? Did any
Yes.
of you do that?
Yeah, I
don't
did
think
that.
I don't think I did.
AOL, when AOL came out, 1995
Yeah.
to I don't know, 2005, I dialed up.
Yeah, but
You had to use a modem within your computer that went over your phone line.
Yes, and
Wow.
no one could talk on the phone.
That's right.
You were either
He's
on
done
the
it.
internet or you had to sign off because someone had to use the phone.
ah,
Because you used the same line.
exactly.
We
And
didn't have
Yeah,
we didn't have things coming in like I do here at DSL.
right. I remember.
Because it would be
Like-
like this, like you're talking to someone on the computer, all of a sudden, somebody would interrupt there. Oh, did you get, Daddy, did you get something from the grocery store a moment ago? And they just disrupt everything that you're speaking with. You could be talking to someone in Ireland, and all of a sudden you hear, did you brush your teeth? Did you wipe your ass when you're done taking a caca poo poo? And it's pretty much that's how it worked at that time there.
I remember going on AOL Instant Messenger and saying, "All right, I'll be outside in 15 minutes."
Yeah, and if you wanted to communicate on a communication, you had the communication boards, chat rooms, things of those nature on AOL.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember one of the first pop-up ads I got was Victoria's Secrets, and I thought it was a porn site.
Oh gosh.
Well, it kind of resembles one, when you think about it.
And we still get pop-ups
Yep.
ads on this day when you go to this particular page, which usually advertising their page, subscribe, like, sign up, blah blah blah. If you want to view this article.
Yeah,
Yep.
ad blockers can block a lot of that,
Yeah.
but then you got to pay for the ad blocker.
Oh man.
In most cases, it's kind of like, this is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But at any rate, I guess we'll pick this up tomorrow.
Yes.
All right.
All right, definitely. And before we
Our-
close out, we want to say rest in peace to actress and sex symbol icon Raquel Welch. She passed away earlier today at age 82
Oh, wow.
there. Yes. She's known for that movie 1,000 Billion Years BC, I guess it was called.
She was one of my favorites for obvious reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. There, she was one of the first, to sport a bikini and get all the guys go gaga.
Because I like me them big, whats.
We all know. Yep. Exactly.
No secret. I like them big, whats.
Who doesn't? That's for sure. There.
Mhm.
And so, rest in peace to Raquel Welch, dead at the age of 82. You will be definitely missed.
Son of a gun.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I guess
Yeah,
that's
I got some for that.
absolutely. So I guess we could do a part 3 tomorrow at same night, same station there. Well, not tomorrow night,
Not
same
the same.
time.
Yeah,
I know.
not the
I
same
fumbled there. My bad. All right, there. So
It'd be kind of difficult to do it the same night.
I know there. Yes. All right. Definitely part 3 tomorrow. And with me.
And if we continue at the same pace, we'll be on a part 6 or 7.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah.
So,
And of course, you'll credit everyone asking us questions about the 70s in the chat, both our chats, my wire and mine as well there. And,
Absolutely. That's the purpose of all this.
exactly there, to let the people know what came before they was even born.
Right.
All right there. So for Ark, myself, YR, Keith, we will see you cats tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Yay.